God, my hands are so tan. Look at that. Oh boy, those are tan. It wasn't just my imagination. Orgy Olivia, how are you? Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is how to start your online course. So everyone knows that you cannot work 24/7. It's just not possible to work that much. Healthy to work that much, even if you can. So by creating a online course, you are productizing your knowledge. And then you are actually creating not only a source of passive income, you are also creating a 24/7 salesperson. So if you put all the good bits into your course, um, you're going to have someone that can buy it like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, what have you. And you are going to have a 24/7 salesperson, because there is nothing better than waking up in the morning and having done like a night full of sales. Like, that's my favorite way to wake up. Breakfast in bed and some online sales. So those are actually my favorite. Another thing that is good for when you create your own course is you can actually change your course. You can add on. It's on the fly, premeditated, like what have you, market research. Because if you design your course properly, you're going to have a hotline to your niche. Everyone is going to want to talk to you about your course. Everyone is going to want to talk to you about what they thought about the course, as long as you write it correctly. So we're going to get started. I'm going to start showing you some of the questions that I ask clients when we do an intake. So an intake is when you've decided that you wanted to work with me, and we have a phone conversation to kind of get everything started. And usually the phone call lasts like 20 minutes. And we get everything done. I don't think I've ever had an intake call last more than 20 minutes. Not if there wasn't a hurricane in the background and all that rain like there was this week. So let's get started. If you guys want to tap the screen for the likes, and then drop in the comments what your course is going to be about. So here is the top question that I ask everybody. Okay. How can a course help your business? And I'm reading off here. So if you see me look away, it's because I'm just double checking everything on my notes and everything. How can a course help your business? Now, we know that a course can help your wallet because passive income, all of that. We love that. But how is a course going to help your business? I mean, yes, you want a 24/7 salesperson. You want another stream of passive income if you don't have one already. I am so surprised how tan my hands are. It's wild to see it under this. I live in Miami, so it's wild to see it under the lights. So how can a course help your business? So my favorite answer to this is when someone says, well, the reason why I want to have this course, have you generate the course, is because I want to be the first person in my industry to offer this. That's always my favorite answer, because of course, why wouldn't that be your favorite answer? So you want to be the first in your industry. I love that answer. You are trying to get your name out there, and you feel like having a course is going to help you put your name out there because it's going to be such a high quality course priced well that you are going to be able to tap into niches, because there's a lot of niches out there and you might not be able to tap into them. So, for example, there are certain niches that come alive at night, and maybe your course can help tap into that niche because you're sleeping, because you have kids, because, whatever reason. So having a course can help your business because it can help you tap into a niche. It can help you be the first in the industry. It's a 24/7 salesperson. Really anything you can think of. I've had a client just say to me, because I just want one. I want one. It's something that I can direct people to. That's amazing. That's amazing. You want to have a course because you don't want to work 24/7? Amazing. You want a course because you want to be a leader in your industry? Perfect. Like, there's so many ways and so many reasons to have a course. And whatever you feel is a reason to have a course is a perfectly good reason. So then the next question I ask is, sorry, we had a lot of rain last week and so my nose is killing me. Tell me about your brand. So in order to have a course, you should probably already have not a well-established brand, but a brand idea. So you might think to yourself, well, I have my logo and I have my website, but no, what does your brand do? Does your brand help people with X, Y, and Z? So for example, does your course help people emotionally, physically, mentally? How does your course help people? That's really what your brand should be focused on, is how you're helping others. Because yes, we all know that you're doing whatever you're doing to make money. That's given. But people are now looking more for a sense of community, especially since they haven't had like a third place to go to since the pandemic. And, they want a sense of community. And I always tell my clients that the way that you can charge a lot of money, and the reason why so many big creators like Gary Vee and whatever, is they have a sense of community. And people want that. People want that sense of community because, like I said, it's not, we're missing a third place. A lot of people don't go to church anymore, what have you. People want that sense of community. So tell me about your brand is really tell me about your community. How are you going to support others after they've bought into your brand, bought into your vision? More important, more than brand and vision, is transformation. You're getting people to trust you to create a transformation. How have you done that? How are you going to do that? And how are you doing it currently? So that's important to ask yourself. So how is a course going to help your business? Tell me about your brand. And, you can talk about how it's established, your vision for your brand, what have you. But people love a story. Oh my God, do people love a story? Because we're social creatures. So have a story about your brand ready. Okay, which values define your brand? And I don't think, within reason, one value isn't better than the other. Maybe it's family, maybe it's community, maybe it's money, maybe it's well-being. It's, whatever it is, what are the values that define your brand? And that's gorgeous if you know it off the top of your head. And sometimes with my clients during the call, we'll discover what their values are, because we're all old enough to know that people don't always do things from the goodness of their heart. And that's okay. You don't have to do things from the goodness of your heart, but you do have to have a certain set of values. So I value honesty, and I value communication, and I value people who honor their word and don't blindside you. So there is that. So you should know what values your brand offers, because that's another way to kind of get your community together, is that you share the same sense of values. Like, I'm not going to gel with someone who takes the easy way out or takes daddy's money. I'm not going to I'm not going to sit beside someone who hates animals, or, thinks that, politics are a scam or what have you. Like, you have to have a set of values to go after, because people just won't accept no values anymore, especially the younger generations like Gen Z. You have to have values in communication. What are your biggest content challenges? So when you are branding, every brand's going to have challenges. You cannot have a brand that's perfect right out of the gate. Like, a lot of times the biggest content challenges my clients have is they don't want to be on camera. For some of us, the pandemic 15 has been making itself comfortable for a few years. So they feel like, oh, well, I want to get out there. I don't necessarily want to have a nameless brand. I want my face on everything, but I also don't want to put my face out there. So that's a challenge. A lot of times people who have not done their market research don't know how to tap into their niche, which is always shocking to me. You should know how to tap into your niche for sure. And then a lot of times people will be like, but I have my niche out there, but I just don't feel like I'm gaining traction. And it's hard to gain traction in social media. It is. And it's hard to gain traction because everyone is basically shouting and no one wants to have a conversation. But marketing is joining a conversation that marketing in a nutshell. And then, just keep in mind that whatever your challenges are, you're also going to have one that's piggybacking off you. So you want to have a faceless brand. You don't want to have a faceless brand, but you also don't want to put anything out there. Like there's always going to be a challenge. And most of the time, people are suffering from imposter syndrome. So they don't necessarily feel like they have anything to add to existing conversations, but they do. So there's that. Who are your 3 biggest competitors? And you should be able to say who you think your biggest competitors are, like right out of the gate. I know who mine are. And I look at their social media, I look at their websites, I look at their offerings, I'm on their email lists. I am all up in their business because I want to know how they're successful. And some of them did it through hard work. One of them, I know the gap in their content and what they do. And the one thing that's like my unique to use their formulas. So it doesn't matter. The person who is a hypnotherapist is going to have the same course as someone who is a nutritionist, as someone who's a florist. And for me, who's been in course creation for 25 years, I mean, like, that's scandalous to me. That's scandalous because a florist niche is not going to be the same as a hypnotherapy niche, is not going to be the same as, a physical therapist or a nutritionist. Like it does not work. It just does not work. And then people panic, and in their Facebook groups, they're like, oh my God, this isn't working for me. My niche doesn't like it. Yeah, your niche doesn't like it because people can smell like nonsense from a mile away. It's like, think of it this way. You would rather have a couture dress than a dress from like Walmart, cause like a Walmart dress, like no, like it doesn't work. And you're paying top dollar for basically cookie cutter product. No. So yes, those are my 3 biggest competitors. Let me know in the comments what your 3 biggest competitors are. What is inspiring you to create a business course? You want to make more money? Fine. You want to help more people? Great. You want a 24/7 salesperson? The other people in your niche have one? Fair. Your biggest competitors have one? That's enough reason. That's enough reason. Sometimes I think competition is a very good thing. I am also an Aquarius, Libra, Sag, Libra moon. So I feel like competition is fabulous. And if someone's doing something and you want to do it better, amazing. Let me know and we'll do it. What are 3 themes or messages you want to convey in your course? Okay. So I believe a course should be between 6 to 8 modules, maybe 10 or 12 if it's pushing it. I've done it before, but it's pushing it. So what you have to avoid is cognitive overload. So like when I was teaching real estate classes, so I was the ghostwriter for Sherry Chris for Realology. And we were always very aware that when you're dealing with real estate agents, when you're dealing with, different groups, that you can't overload them, even if they're an expert in something. Like I, for example, could talk about, commas all day, but other people can't. So I can debate a comma placement all day long. Someone else can't. So it might be exhausting to them. So I always say one niche, one message, one product or service. So what are the themes or messages you want to convey in your course? You can do it is always a good one. You're capable, you are good enough, you're worth it. You can be successful as long as you have insider knowledge or XYZ. Like that's also great. Think about it. And then on the phone, we'll make a list. 1, 2, 3. What's your topic? What are your topics in the course? What are your messages? It can be overt or covert. Their messages. Sometimes people don't want their messages to be overt. They want the layers and the nuances and the subtext. That's fine. I'm totally happy to do that. Who is your target audience for this course? Okay, so I always tell this story on my lives. There was a group of very well-off college graduates who decided to invest and have a cereal bar as like their postgraduate, rich kid project. And what wound up happening is they thought college kids were like them, like they could afford the big meals and, going out. I mean, I wish I had that in college, but they are thinking in terms of their group. So they had the cereal bar, and they thought college kids were going to buy like $5 a bowl when they could buy a cereal box for like $5, a box of cereal for $5. And so their idea was that they would have this and college kids would come in. What they didn't bank on is kids that were really poor in college that they didn't associate want to have a fat, a carb, and a protein because they want to stay fuller longer. You eat cereal and an hour later you're hungry. So they didn't take that into account. So their niche, hold on one second. Their targeted niche was college kids. And the niche that actually loved them that they didn't tap into were little kids, like 5-year-olds, preschool, pre-K, elementary kids. And I went and I checked it out. Oh, that was weird. My computer tried to restart. So I reached out and I went and I looked because I thought, oh my God, this is such a great idea. And it was just little kids that had come back from a doctor's appointment, little kids that had gotten out of pre-K and that was their treat. And instead of saying, oh my God, this is a niche that we didn't think of, let's tap into it. Let's be at birthday parties. Let's, tag team with a magician or a bouncy house or what have you. They just basically wouldn't tap into that small niche that had picked them. And so they doubled down on their marketing and they tried again with the college kids, and the college kids were like, no, they wanted to go to Thirsty Thursday or Taco Tuesday, something that was $1 rather than $5, and, the hours were weird and have you. So it didn't work. So what you have to ask yourself is, what is the niche that I want? And what's the niche that wants me? And it doesn't matter which niche that you pick. you're going to have to really research them, because think about the niches like the Star Wars people versus the Trekkies. I don't know a lot about Star Wars. I've never made it past the point where they're walking down the sand dune and they're on another planet. I've never stayed awake past that point. So, take it or leave it. But what's it called? There are two different niches. And like, if I were to say, I don't know it, but like, the Darth Vader, he's a misunderstood character. Can you imagine if you go into like a Star Wars room and you just basically are like, um, you know, I think he's a misunderstood character when he's very clearly the villain. So a lot of people just walk into niches like, oh, well, I got this great product. It's rude. It's like someone barging into your house or your apartment right now and being like, hey, I have a great idea or product. And it's like, this is my safe space. This is my community. This is like, where I have my peace of mind. So people are not always open to you just barging in and being like, I got a great idea, because marketing is all about joining a conversation that's already happening. You can't interrupt the question. Sorry, you can't interrupt the conversation with just a question. Like, you have to do your research and you have to talk their language. Like, this is so simple, but so I live in Miami. I'm a native Floridian. A lot of times people will be like, oh yeah, no, I live in Miami, and they live in like Broward. They live in like Pembroke Pines. And it's like, you're not a Miamian, and you have to have the wherewithal to understand that you're not welcome into a niche just because you want to be in a niche. That's just how it is. You have to do your research. Part of that research is saying, well, this is the niche that I want. And another thing that you can do, and you can actually do it on social media, is go through your audience insights and see who is really liking you. So for example, my podcast, your book and course consultant on Spotify, most of my listeners are older. Most of them are in their 60s and 70s. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. So when I create my content for that age group. So this is what I ask myself: what are their pain points? What kind of stresses them out? And it used to be, oh, what keeps you up at night? But no, I don't think I think we all sleep like we're dead now. What are their pain points? So what really grinds their gears? What are their aspirations? So what annoys you? What do you aspire to? Like, you should be able to describe your niche's perfect day. Okay, perfect day from the beginning to the end. And then, you can think about what's your perfect day, like, everyone's different and everyone has a right to have their perfect day. So your niche is going to have a different perfect day, and what matters to them, what doesn't matter to them, all those different things you have to take into consideration. Because, like, I love living in Miami because it's hot and I'm like a lizard. I love the heat. Other people may not like living in Miami because it's starting to become a little too industrial. It's becoming overcrowded. Like, someone who loves Miami and someone who hates Miami are going to have completely different perfect days. So you should be able to join the conversation that your niche is having, talk to their pain points, kind of talk up their aspirations. And another thing that a lot of people miss in marketing, it's not selling, it's joining a conversation that's already happening. And part of that conversation is people are talking about their objections to, whatever is going on. And you have to address those objections. And you can do that through content, through, the solution that you always ask. And you could say, well, it's going to be hard to clean. It's a big house. It's going to be a lot to clean. So it doesn't matter how perfect the situation is. Someone's going to have an objections. I would not turn down a free house because it's a lot to clean. But some people might. And that's their objection. And their objection is right to have. It doesn't matter that, that's not your objection, that's theirs, and you have to answer it. So if someone were to say, no, I don't want this free house because I don't want to clean it, how would you provide a solution? You could say, oh, well, you can hire a cleaning lady, you can do X, Y, and Z, something like that. So that's an objection. And that's a perfectly valid objection. You have to take your niche seriously, like being like, oh, come on, don't worry about it. That doesn't work. Your niche wants to know exactly what they're getting themselves into with your solution, because people have to have a lot of information. People are so used to marketing tactics now that transparency is probably like the best marketing tactic out there. So that's how you find your course. Your niche. So you say, this is the niche that I want. This is the niche that also wants me. And then you take it even more granular. So the example that I've been using lately is, let's say that there's 3 college grads, to go with the cereal bar theme. You have recent college grads who got a full ride, athletic or academic. So sorry, the hurricane stirred up a lot of stuff. So recent grads that had an academic or athletic scholarship, recent college grads that had mommy or daddy pay, and then recent college grads that had student loans. So based on that, those are 3 separate niches. Now let's get even more granular. Let's say that the niche that has our recent college grads paid for it with student loans and had a creative major, like honors English or something like that. That they're going to have a separate set of pain points because, well, they gambled on their talent, getting them a career, and it didn't quite pan out. What are they going to do? How are they going to pay back those student loans? That's something that they have to consider. And that's something that is, for them. So how would you talk to someone who's a recent college grad, paid for it with student loans, and also had a creative major? Like that's a lot to unpack. But if your marketing addresses their objections, then they'll feel better. You have these. Marketing is joining a conversation that's already happening and putting people at ease. Simple. Have you already started writing any part of the class, of the course? If yes, could you share it with me? So what happens a lot of times, people get these great course ideas, and it takes them a little bit to find me. But once they find me, they're like, well, I had this great course idea and I decided to use ChatGPT to write the course. It happens a lot. Actually, it happens a lot. Like when people tell me, I put it on mute and I laugh a little bit, because it just, can you imagine if this was ChatGPT had been in the 90s? Like, wow. So a lot of people already have part of their course written by AI. And then they come to me and they're like, look, it's not very good, but I worked on it. I tweaked it a little bit. So I kind of like this part. I don't like that part. That's fine. I edit courses and it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Even if it's written by AI, it's fine. I am not a course snob or anything like that. Like if that was the best that you can do, then I will work with it. So I always ask, well, share it with me. Let me see what you liked. Let me see what you didn't like, because that's what I also do when I ghostwrite business books. And a lot of times I like toss most of it out, but so what? Like that's something to begin with. A course written by AI is kind of better than not having anything written down at all. So as long as you have something written down, you've tweaked it a little bit, then you can share it with me and then I can edit your course. I always then ask, what are your expectations regarding revisions and edits? So this is where usually the client tells me, oh, I don't want to work with the course at all. I want you to do everything. So that's always my favorite. The clients that are like, no, you take care of everything. I have a business to run. Those are my favorite clients, because I have been, in course creation, marketing, and editing for, God, more than 25 years. So I know what I'm doing, and it's easier if I just do it without someone, constantly looking over my shoulder. So sometimes people will be like, oh, I want this edited by Christmas. My expectation is you write the course and then I edit it at the end, which is perfectly fine too, because it's your course. And if you want to edit it at the end, that's perfectly fine. But then sometimes I have to say, well, it's going to take me a little bit to edit. So if I've written your course, sometimes it can take me up to a month to edit, because I'll have written something, or something has come, and I want to do a little bit more market research, or sometimes the industry just changes. Think about how much retail changed during the pandemic, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. So sometimes things happen and you have to address it. So that's where I sometimes take a little bit longer to edit, because I have to make sure everything's current and actionable. How much time do you have to dedicate to the project? So sometimes clients are on a very tight schedule. That's fine. Sometimes clients have more time. That's great. But I just ask that you let me know, because when you have your course, when I'm creating your course, I need to know if there's a tighter deadline, because there's an added fee for a tighter deadline. And usually it takes me like 6 weeks to create a course from scratch, because you have to remember, I'm not using a template, and I'm doing a lot of market research. And sometimes, I recently just finished a course, and there was a podcast on it, and I was listening to the podcast, and I was like, this is what the audience is really reacting to. So I need to really sit there and consider why it is so important that this is in the conversation that the niche is having. So that's what I do. Is it can take a little bit to edit the course, but you have to make sure that it's joining the conversation your niche is already having. Then the next question I ask is, do you have any specific formatting or style requirements for the course? So sometimes people are like, well, I want to have a video-based course. So I want you to create the scripts, but I want my face in all the modules, and I want every module to start off with a video, and then you can do the discussion, and then we do the activities. And I want to meet with my learners like once or twice a month. I always recommend twice a month, because if you try to meet with them every week, it's probably good when it's smaller, but twice a week is usually the goal for interacting with your niche and your learners. Another question is, what is your preferred writing style? Informative, salesy, conversational? So I have a very warm, this is what I've been told, a warm and professional tone. So I make everything conversational, even if it's very scientific, because I feel like people respond more to a conversation. And it's always what I say is, you're joining a conversation that your niche is already having. So be conversational. People do not respond to authoritative tones like how they used to, like in the 80s or 90s. And it just kind of harkens back to the difference between child learning and adult learning. Is child learners need that like sense of authority. They need someone that's kind of really tough with them and really into discipline. And with adults, adults have a lot going on. And so they respond well to a collaborative tone, to someone being like, hey, let's work on this together. Or, hey, I have a great idea. Let's discuss it. That's more the adult learning tone. So I always try to be conversational about it, because adults don't like it when you try to overpower them. Like, I know that's common sense, but you'd be surprised. So try to meet your niche, your learners where they're at, and try to do it in a way that makes them feel like they're smart. Because you're not the expert, you're creating experts. You're birthing the next generation of experts. So you kind of have to take that like tone that doesn't imply authority, that applies collaboration more than anything. What is the desired length of your course? So I'm going to tell you, I don't think courses should go more than 6 weeks. Because sometimes that's all people have to dedicate to their transformation. So when you're doing a course, you're also selling a transformation, and transformations shouldn't take more than 6 weeks. And I know you're going to be like, no, but that's not realistic. 6 weeks. That's the sweet spot for courses. You want to try something else? Go ahead. But I'm telling you from experience, 6 weeks, that's how long your course, your learners should be learning one module a week, I think is ideal. And even if it's a self-paced course, 6 weeks. So that's my vote, 6 weeks. 6 weeks to take the course for someone to start. And remember, the journey is different. So your learners are going to be very different from when they started your course to the end of the course, and even in the mid journey. So in the beginning, they're excited. They want to learn the information. They're like, yes, taking notes, scribbling frantically. And then by the middle, they're going to take a very critical eye to the course, which is what they're supposed to do. And they're going to be like, okay, well, how is this going to serve me? Because it's like when I taught 8th grade, the students would be like, well, what should I care about? 8th grade doesn't count towards college. So I would always say, you don't start a marathon, in one day. You have to build up to it. So that's kind of my thought on that. Do you have any particular writing preferences or pet peeves? People have a lot of pet peeves when it comes to writing. I once knew a woman who would lose her mind if you used once and it was supposed to only be the word after. So people would have a lot of pet peeves that they wouldn't know off the top of their head. So sometimes a client and I will be on the phone on their intake and they'll be like, no, I don't really have any pet peeves. And then they'll text me later and be like, oh, you know what? I hate the word very, or I hate the word, or I hate when there's rhetorical questions. And one thing that I don't like is I feel like if you're writing a course, then you need to also be able to provide answers. So not a huge fan of figure it out yourself. So I think that's lazy. So that is one writing preference I have, is that you give the answers. And I think that goes for every course. You should have the answers, not let's figure it out together. You can do that to kind of create a discussion, but at the end, you need to have some answers. I always ask, would you be interested in incorporating video into your course? Because a lot of times people really do like video. They feel like it helps them, that they can be like in the gym on the treadmill, and then they can be learning too. So that's something that I always ask is, are you willing to incorporate video into your course? And it's a great thing because video sells. We're all on TikTok, we're all on YouTube, we're all on Instagram because of videos. We love to see videos. So which type of activities would you like to include? These can include discussions, video presentations, or live coaching. Like I said earlier, you should be live coaching twice a month, not twice a week, twice a month. And you can have it so that they can be on a phone call, they can be on a giant Zoom, they can be in a community room and you're in there and you're answering questions. But you do have to have community. Let's be clear. Even if your course is originally designed for money, you're really selling community. You're selling value, you're selling transformation, and you're selling community. So you need to really, really think about why you're doing the course. You really need to think about how you are, how you're coming across to the niche, And you really need to facilitate discussion. So let's say, oh, hi, Mo. So let's say that you're doing a course and you write a question in your Facebook group every day. And if people are taking the time to answer the questions that you're posting on your Facebook group or, whatever group it is, you need to chime in. And you can do that by saying, you know what, that's a good point. I love that you said this, that, and the other. You have to validate their contribution. And then you have to make a comment about it and a thoughtful comment about it. You can't just say, that's a great idea, and then have that be it. Thank you so much, Mo. Thank you. So you have to ask yourself, how can I validate that someone else has given a great answer to my question? How can you piggyback off of that to engage the community? And remember, asking questions nonstop doesn't always thank you. Asking questions doesn't always count as engagement. I know that's going to sound counterintuitive, but if someone is just asking questions, it kind of shows that they're just kind of be almost passive engagers. Because you can ask, well, what do you mean by that? How can we apply this? Like, there's a cookie, like I was a teacher. I know that there were some days that I would be like, well, do you think that they were there physically or they were there mentally about the characters in a book we were reading? I mean, I had a whole list of questions when I just wanted to appear engaged, and I really wasn't. I probably shouldn't admit that. But be that as it may, you have to really listen to your community and take notes and keep like a separate sheet of interests that they have and things that they need. And then kind of put it together, and then you can put it together and then you can create a video that you post, like a video presentation. And it can be something along the lines of top 25 questions that you ask me and answer. And that can be your video presentation. So you should interact with your community twice a month at least. I like the idea of putting a question out into your Facebook group or whatever group is, whatever platform's hosting your group, and then engaging with those learners. I did an online group, and the founder of the group would ask really thoughtful questions. And she would base it on the days of the week. So Monday motivation, reflection Tuesday, gratitude Wednesday, and people would look forward to it. So as long as people are looking forward to what you're doing, they are going to love it. They're going to love it because it's going to make them feel like they've done something, that they've contributed to a conversation that's already happening. You'll hear me beat that drum ad nauseum. Life coaching. Okay, and here's the thing with life coaching. You could go one of two ways. You can treat it like it's a one-on-one coaching session and just other people are watching, or you can kind of make it very general so that everyone can kind of participate in the coaching and add their insights. So that's really, really up to you how you want to do it. So those are my questions. So I'm going to go through them again, and then I'm going to add little bits that maybe we didn't discuss. But how can a course help your business? Tell me about your brand. Which values define your brand? What are your biggest content challenges? Who are your 3 biggest competitors? What is inspiring you to create a business course? What are the 3 themes or messages you want me to convey in your course? Who is your target audience for this course? Have you already started writing any part of the course? If yes, could you please share with me? What are your expectations regarding revisions and edits? How much time do you have to dedicate to the project? And if you want to just give it to me, that's even better because I love to work on my own. What is your expected timeline for completion of the course? If you need to rush it a little bit, you need to let me know. Do you have any specific formatting or style requirements for the course? This AP style, Chicago style, MLA. What is your preferred writing style? Informative, salesy, conversational. What is the desired length of the course? Again, I say 6 to 8 modules. Do you have any particular writing preferences or pet peeves? Would you be interested in incorporating video into your course? Which types of activities would you like to include in your course? Discussions, video presentations, or live coaching? So, thank you, Mo. So those are kind of what you should be thinking about. Those are the questions I asked. So these are on my official intake form. And then we go down. So then once we've decided that, yes, we're going to work together, then I ask you about the modules. So module 1, always an introduction. Even if the learner taking the course is an expert, everyone loves to feel smart. Give them a quick win. First module is quick wins and a recap of information, things kind of like the basics, like warming them up, making them feel confident. The second module is about introducing new ideas and, things that kind of make them sit and like have to go for a walk. Oh, I said the magic word. Oh no, I hope my dog doesn't go up. So things that kind of make, oh no. Things that give them food for thought. So the first one is intro. Second one is food for thought. Now the third one is where you have to get very practical. The 3 and 4 need to be as practical as possible. So 3 is, well, you've thought about all these ideas. Now let's start putting them into practice. Okay, so there's 1. That's the third module. The fourth module is, I like to call it the stumping module, because you have to ask them a question or have a discussion that really makes makes them really think about what they've learned through the course and like make it applicable, because they need to see that your course has practical value. So the fourth module is the stumping one. They should sit down and take like a day or 2 to really think about a scenario, a discussion, a question, what have you. So that's the fourth module. The fifth module is you kind of take the training wheels off. Well, what would you do in this situation? You figured that situation out. Let's go a little bit more in depth. So 5 could be more of the in-depth one than 4, but 4 needs to come first, obviously. But the fourth module needs to kind of start, start getting those new neurons thinking, neural pathways, into work. And then the fifth one is super practical. So I just finished a course, and the fifth module was how to land a job in this industry, how to stand out in this industry. And I gave them an example of a resume, interview questions, all of that. So the fifth one is, okay, I am really making this practical for you. I am setting you up for success. So the fifth module is, I'm setting you up for success. And then the sixth module is very much an in-depth review of everything, but with questions that the person can make their journey their own. So usually in the sixth module, I will talk about something like boundaries. What are your boundaries with X, Y, and Z? So it can be something simple. So for example, a lot of women are taking Ozempic, especially older women in their 40s, and their body has completely changed because of hormones. Oh, you guys, sorry, the dog's getting up. Good girl. Because of hormones, and because they're just tired. So they can have it so that their bodies are changing because of hormones, and also so they need a lot of protein. And when you're on Ozempic, your food noise shuts off, so you may not exactly know what your cravings are. So you would need a nutritionist who had niched down so much that she was women in their 40s taking Ozempic, the food noise is off, and they don't know how to eat without their food noise. So that is an example of being hyper niched, so that it's tough. That's a tough thing. I eat, which I can't imagine. They don't really want to eat, so they have to really up their protein, and they don't necessarily want to not join their friends. Not join their friends who are stop lying to my people. They are not necessarily ready to go into the real world, but they have to really ask themselves, like, for the example, for the 6th module, when you're setting your personal boundaries in whatever industry. So people who are on Ozempic, and what are their boundaries? Like, is Sunday dinner very important to you? Is making cookies with your kids very important to you? Like, a lot of times we have to pick our battles in life, and the 6th module is kind of all about, I can't get over how tan my hands are. The 6th module is all about setting personal boundaries so you can go forth and be successful, because, setting boundaries is the way to be successful, is to say, no, not on my watch. I'm only doing X, Y, and Z. And then not only setting those boundaries, but understanding why you have those boundaries. So with like the nutrition course and everything like that, you have to really think to yourself, why am I doing this? What purpose does it serve? And can I still make money off of it? So that's kind of like the 6th module. So then you have a closing activity. So when you are done creating the course, or I'm done creating the course, you also have to leave the door open so that people can feel free to come back. So let's just say that right now that you have only one course idea, which is great. You only have one course idea, and I create that course for you, and you put it out to your community, and they love it. Wonderful. Perfect. But, down the line, you might get inspired to write a second course. So the closer to your course has to welcome people back, has to make people feel very welcome in your community. Create a community. And by creating that community, you are basically creating salespeople, because there's like someone here who is really into human design, and I always recommend them. So your community is really your salespeople. My book just fell over. Your community is really your salespeople, and people want to be in the know. They want to know the cool new thing. They want people to think they're super smart. And creating a community, you are giving people a reason to share some sort of insight, to share a way that they can contribute in a positive way to other people's lives. And one of those ways is through the community, yes. But if you have like a really well designed, put together course, then other people are going to want to take your course. So I had one client who started with one course, and it was like an introductory course or what have you. It was like dating in the pandemic. And so his course was about dating during the pandemic. And then I was like, well, make sure that you provide enough support and community so that when the pandemic is over, you can write about how to date after the pandemic. And that's what he did. We created a course on how to date after the pandemic, and it did very well because he had provided so much support, and by so much support, he asked a question every day in the group, and then he did live coaching twice a month. And he, you don't have to think of the questions on the fly. Like I create banks for that. I also, because I think that's the main selling point of your course is value, transformation, and community. Like those, you can't if you don't have community. Like that's just the bottom line. Like you have to have a very strong rooted community as someone who's offering a course, because, and they'll most of the time just take care of themselves, because everyone wants to be the smartest person in the room. So people, when you ask those questions, you are creating a discussion. And by creating that discussion, you're creating experts and guardians of the community. And people love that. Love that. So again, I'm going to go over this one more time. How can a course help your business? Tell me about your brand. Which values define your brand? What are your biggest content challenges? Who are your 3 biggest competitors? What is inspiring you to create a business course? What are 3 themes or messages you want to convey in your course? Who is your target audience for this course? Have you already started writing any part of the course? If yes, could you share it with me? What are your expectations regarding revisions and edits? How much time do you have to dedicate to the project? What is your expected timeline for completion of the course? Do you have any specific formatting or style requirements for the course? What is your preferred writing style? Informative, salesy, conversational? What is the desired length of the course? Remember, I only recommend 6 weeks. That's plenty of time for a transformation. Do you have any particular writing preferences or pet peeves? Would you be interested in incorporating video into your course? Which types of activities would you like to include? These can include discussion, video presentations, or live coaching. So those are the questions that I ask when you are interested in writing a course. So you'll call me up, you'll email me, maureencastle@gmail.com. You will email me, and then we'll set up a time to talk. And then those are the questions that I ask. And then after you're done and we've niched down as much as possible, then we're going to go over ideas for module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Wait, why is it doing that? Okay, so that's my live for today. 1 straight hour. I am like going to go take a nap as a projector. But let me know. Hold on. And you can also reach me at my email that should be in the bio at maureencastle@gmail.com. All right, you guys, I will see you next week. Have a great week.